Ophelia and I will be the moderator of this debate whose topic is imagination is better than knowledge. I'm sorry if you have changed it. What should I have to say? Those who will be arguing for are Fonga Nicolas, Esomba Boris, and Boumenye Daniel.
Encore.
Repeat it. Imagination is better than knowledge. Imagination is the part of our mind that create ideas or picture of the things that are not real or things that you have not seen. And knowledge is the information and understandings that you have in your mind. My mate and I stand here to defend the fact that imagination is better than knowledge. Me, I'm going to talk about business and science, while my mate are going to talk about freedom, creationism, and limits. And my last mate, Daniel, will conclude to summarize our work. So, to begin, I believe that imagination is better than knowledge because it is the engine in every successful business. Any businessman without imagination is like a car without petrol. So, we are here today because there is one man, Mr. Nix, who construct this program in his mind. He did not need knowledge to do that, no. She just need his imagination. We all know that there are many English teachers who have all knowledge in the world, but they didn't know how to spend it. Furthermore, imagination is better than knowledge because one can be educated and have knowledge, but without imagination, why will they exercise to solve with the knowledge? For example, we have one Greek scientist, a Greek inventor, who is Thomas Edison. I think that we all in this room use bulb every day. A person who created that was Thomas Edison, and she spent about 3 months at school. No, he doesn't have knowledge. She doesn't have knowledge. So, I think without knowledge, you can go far. Thank you for the floor.
Thank you for your ideas. Now I'm going to give the floor to the first speaker again, who will tell us why he or she thinks that imagination is not better than knowledge. Vanessa.
Thanks for giving me the floor. Distinguished members of the jury, my learned opponents, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. If we are here today in front of you, is to talk about the following topic, which is imagination is better than knowledge. Permit me start by emphatically accepting the definition given by my opponents. My mates and I are again the motion that imagination is better than knowledge. During this debate, my mate Yan will talk to you about the superiority of knowledge over imagination from the onset of time. I will talk to you about the abstract nature of imagination, and my mate Lionel will summarize all what we have been saying. I'm afraid to differ with those things my opponent said about imagination. Why? We all know that imagination is an abstract word. Why? Imagination is abstract because if you spend time to imagining without concretizing, your imagination will be dying in your thoughts. Thank you for giving me your ears.
Thank you too. I will now give the floor to the second speaker of the affirmative side, Boris.
Thank you for giving me the floor. Distinguished members of the jury, my learned opponents, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. My friend and I stand up here to defend the fact that imagination is better than knowledge. My learned opponents say that imagination is an abstract notion. They also forgot that knowledge is abstract because we are not able to see knowledge. So, permit me begins, please. I think that imagination is better than knowledge because imagination is free. Knowledge, why knowledge isn't? You can, when you imagine, you try freely to imagine things which do not exist. However, to obtain knowledge, you have to pay money. When you go to school, you cannot go to school without paying money. You have to give something. Even to learn English in this program, you gave something. Am I not right? Thank you. In addition, imagination is once again better than knowledge in the concept of creationism. With God, with his imagination, creates the world with all his creature. He did not need knowledge. He has just imagined what he wants to create, and he creates. Moreover, imagination has no limits. Why? Knowledge is limited. You can imagine whatever you want, because you can imagine whatever you want, but you cannot know everything because you are not God. Can I ask you a question, please? Are you able to know everything in this world? No, you are lying. So, I will now rest my case. Thank you for your kind attention and for giving me the opportunity to make my team win this debate.
Thank you. I will give the floor to the second speaker of the negative side, Yang.
Distinguished member of the jury, my learned opponent, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. My classmate and I believe that knowledge is better than imagination. We all know that my learned opponents are wrong to think quite the opposite. Contrary to what my learned opponent just affirmed, which should make you understand that Thomas Edison was having knowledge. While he experienced, he made an error which produced the light. So you can't tell me that an error is an imagination. Let me continue by saying that if you have imagination, you are born, you have a brain. As Boris said, imagination is free. So you can go to school and acquire all the knowledge that you can. As the imagination is free, you have knowledge and imagination. And you told us about imagination is you can imagine whatever you want, whatever castle you want. It will stay in your mind, in your thought. But how are you going to realize all that great imagination? Let me continue by saying that I believe that all of us agree that imagination is ephemeral. We think every day and every time. Scientists affirm that humans can have more than 1 million imagination per day. But how do they help us? On the other hand, knowledge was created. It has been transmitted from generation to generation and is still helping us to resolve our daily difficulties. If you want to build if you want to build bridges, how are we going to do if we don't have imagination, or when we want to communicate? Because without knowledge, we have been never able to create to discover communication like cell phone and internet. Imagination can't be realized without knowledge. If those who imagine need to meet engineers who have knowledge to make this imagination come true. Meanwhile, great things can be achieved from an engineer's previous knowledge, that is that acquired during his training. From all this, we can say that knowledge is the greatest power. Thank you.
Thank you. The third speaker of the proposal side, the floor is yours.
Thank you too. Honorable members of the juries, ladies and gentlemen, the chairpersons, good afternoon. We are here to defend the fact that imagination is better than knowledge. My learned opponent, you said that in engineer, have you seen a building that fall down because the engineer don't have a good imagination? If you are correct, I will agree with you. Unfortunately, you are wrong, because I think that your arguments were dumb and lift. To conclude, I wish to restate that imagination led to creationism. It leads to invention. It leads to formation and success in business. It is free and it is limitless. Thank you for giving me your ears.
Thank you. The third speaker of the opposite side, the floor is yours.
Okay. Thank you for giving me the floor. Distinguished members of the jury, my learned opponent, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. It's a fact. Knowledge is better than imagination. Permit me begin by saying that my learning opponent do not quite understand what they themselves are saying. How can you say that when you want to make your business, you don't need knowledge? Are you here to learn the imagination of learning, or what you can learn you? I don't know. Imagination is free. Knowledge is expensive. My friend Boris, you want to say that we can only acquire imagination, we can only acquire knowledge in a school? Do you know how many things I learned just by living with you, did I give you some money about this information or this knowledge? I don't know. Okay. So, in a nutshell, I think that we'll agree that if imagination was better than knowledge, Africa must be the greatest continent of the world. Cameroun must be the best country of the world, and me, I will be the best man of this world. I want to conclude by asking one question. What are you doing here? Are we here to acquire more imaginations or more knowledge? Thank you for your kind attention.
Thank you too. Now that the both sides have spoken, I now have the floor to the public, people who have their opinion. We need one person who is for and another who is against.
Hi to everyone, I'm immediately singing. Einstein once said, imagination is more powerful than knowledge. If Einstein can say that, I think one of the most intelligent and knowledgeable person the world has had, if he can say that, I think, I believe like him that imagination is more powerful than knowledge. You can see today that, to disagree with my brother, today in Africa we are able to have the same information than any citizen all over the world. But I think countries that are more developed are countries where their citizens use their imagination to realize and develop their country. Imagination is not, it doesn't cost anything, but it's just to believe in yourself and to say, yes, I can. The world, the sky is not even my limit. Thank you very much. It's all about self-confidence also.
Thank you.
Just to use the same example of Einstein, yes, he would say that imagination is much more important than knowledge, but he educated himself for free because he was a patent clerk and wasn't making much money. So without both, he was not able to make the kinds of theories that he did to be the person that he became.
Thank you for your opinion. Now I will give the floor to the jury.
First of all, I want to say thank you to everybody who may have been on a team arguing for a point that they don't believe. I was on a debate team in high school, and it's very difficult to argue the opinion that you disagree with. So I want to congratulate you. If any of you have been arguing for something you don't believe in, it's much harder than arguing for something you believe in, so thank you. I'm speaking for myself, maybe not the other judges, but I think this was maybe the best debate we saw. I want to congratulate both teams on rebutting the other's points. You guys were very good at that. I saw people taking notes, really listening to what your opponent says, because the key to winning a debate is to not get your own points across, but to listen to your opponent and what they're saying and where they're coming from and counter it. So congratulations for listening to each other. think it's a really important rule. And this was a really, really close debate. Both teams did great. The English was great. The rebutting was great. Defining, outlining, people stuck to their times. So the score, is this down here? This? It's 10.5 for the affirming team and also 10.5 for the negative team. So this is a tie. Congratulations.